got done watching Valiant Renegade's wonderful conversation with Cameron Pasha. I like it when great minds think alike. We all are. Anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about the Atlantic article. Throw in a little bit more about that. That it's now a very old Reddit dump from whomever at Lucasfilm in defense of Kennedy and JJ and Ruin, basically blaming Alan Horn, who's the head of the studio creative stuff. This is very interesting to me. When you look at all this Atlantic article, this is about her. And as Cameron said, this article is basically telling Hollywood it's okay. We can move on from Kathleen. That likely one of her the things that they're giving her is the ability to film and be the executive producer for Indiana Jones, whatever the title is going to be, Indy 5. There's some question about, is there going to be, reshoots and stuff. This looks like it's going to be maybe a 2-month shoot, maybe a 60-day shoot. I don't know. I do know they're going to end up in Morocco, which weirdly is now standing in for Egypt, probably because Salah is going to be in it. I don't see Salah picking up and moving to New York or London or anything like that. But John Rhys Davies is definitely in the movie. He is listed on the cast. We might be getting flashbacks and de-aging for him and Harrison Ford in whatever flashback that might be. But I'm not worried about the reshoots. And the simple reason is this. A, we don't know how much power Ms. Kathy has. She might just be Frank Steppenfetchit. Okay, you got to remember the Uber Lord looking over all this, even though he himself is in pre-production for a movie he's going to start directing, Steven Spielberg. He's probably got more power over it than she does. Granted, he walked away from directing it. James Mangold is a competent director, despite what certain people think, despite what Phoebe Waller-Bridge might do or say. I'm not in the business of having any fucks to give about her. As far as I'm concerned, in the indie universe, she's a nobody. She might be playing a bad guy. I mean, we don't know who she's playing. There's a black girl in this. We don't know what it looks to me like they took that, like Waller-Bridge, the young guy in this who looks kind of like Harrison Ford in a way, and the black girl are all going to be very minor characters. And I think the 4 big ones are Indy, Harrison Ford, of course, Mads Mikkelsen, Thomas Kretschmann, and probably John Rhys Davies. That's it. I know that Karen Allen is going to be in it. She's in London. Morning, Jeremy. She's doing her. Thank you, Jeremy. She's going to be in London, and in July, which is probably when they're going to film whatever scenes she has. Okay, so all right, let's go further. You guys got to remember that at the end of Vader Fanatic, that at the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Indy was on his way to London to take a lecturing position at one of the universities there. Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not worried about this, and I'm not worried about reshoots. It seems like they're filming everything really, really fast. You know as well as I do that the suits in California and Steven Spielberg are looking at the dailies. Marshall's looking at the dailies. Harrison Ford probably is too. Those guys are the ones in charge. Ford, Marshall, and Spielberg. I honestly, when I see pictures of Kennedy on set, it's just like she's just there as window dressing almost. Good morning, Cinedave. So let's talk a little bit more about that Atlantic article. Hopefully, you guys read it. Raise your hands if you've read it. If you haven't, you better read it. That was basically, I think, what I read it 3 times now, telling Hollywood and the rest of us that Kennedy is on her way out. It didn't blame her, but it also said that Star Wars under her and Lucasfilm has been mismanaged. So she's blamed and she's not. And that the guy basically sang the song of our people when he was talking about The Mandalorian. My opinion is this, that Mando is that all was telling Hollywood that Jon Favreau is getting ready to come in and take over. And we know because, again, Taika Waititi said it, and he was talking to a news guy. This is legit. I'm sorry at all the screaming, angry fanboys. Like, the usual suspects. Yeah, you're right, old redneck nerd. That's exactly what I was saying, is that John is the one leading the charge going forward. That Lucasfilm is restructuring. Okay. So when you hear that and you read articles like this and you see, Kennedy being given sainthood by somebody, hey, man, Piranha, sainthood by somebody on Reddit, and blaming Alan Horn, who most people don't know. I know who he was. Okay. I did my homework. I knew exactly who he was. He was the Disney executive in charge of creative. And he obviously wanted Star Wars to do better than it did. And hey, Maze, you know, Zenefet's comment on the previous video from yesterday was so great. It had to be, it had to be the thumbnail for this. I mean, it was dead on. All right. And Maze, of course, make Star Wars toxic and masculine again. That's exactly what I want. I mean, but anyway, when you're looking at all this stuff, it's obvious something's happening. Now, let's go to Pablo. I haven't looked on his Twitter. I've actually been working on my Han Solo origin story for Echo Base, and I'm about ready to put it up on my WordPress blog, which I haven't used in a long, long time. I'm gonna get that thing ready, and I'll put it somewhere where you guys can read it. Hopefully, Lico will have more artwork to put with it, but I'm gonna add those pictures to it, and at least a couple of them, because they're great. I mean, he's a great artist. But so I haven't looked at what Pablo's been saying, but he's reminiscing. And Cameron, what did he do yesterday? Said something about, I'm going to say, talked about the Atlantic article and started getting bombarded by a troll. Now, I looked for that troll. That troll realized he was being followed and looked at and disappeared. All right. This guy, we need somebody to confront Pablo head on. We need, again, somebody to kick the hornet's nest. Okay. In fact, I would start asking Matt Martin, Mom, Mrs. Hidalgo, and the rest of these people, what's going on? We've heard rumors, what's going on? Act like a concerned citizen. Okay, I don't care. They may not, because I'm saying this in public, they may not say anything, but it's time to get to the bottom of this. But I am going to say this. I think that a lot of stuff is going to be announced sooner rather than later. Because if you remember the Variety article, it came out, and then suddenly, out of the blue, coming down from the heavens, There was Dave Filoni as head of creative at Lucasfilm. Oh, you know, that's weird. That's weird. Okay. The official excuse is, well, we didn't update the website. My ass, you didn't update the website. That was an announcement. Again, if you're a screaming fanboy and don't want to see anything good happen, you'll tell me I'm wrong, which is fine. You know how I feel about that. However, I'm not wrong. I know what I'm talking about because I've seen it before. Okay? That was an announcement. It was not put out there in a press release. It was just there, and then people saw it and commented. Okay? So I expect something within a few days. Valiant, I know. I don't. Here's okay. Let's go. Let's talk about Leslie Headland. So there's a lot of screaming. Hey, House of Treaties, screaming and gnashing of teeth about that, whatever it is. I don't consider someone like her to actually be a female. Okay. And, it was an AV article interview, and it looks to me like a Xenophet said that it was put up there by the last remaining activists at Lucasfilm. Okay, we don't really know if some of these people that appear to still be working at Lucasfilm are really there. These are the things because despite what people might think, Disney will not tell us unless they can couch it in something positive because they are all about protecting the investors and their shares. Okay, so you're not going to hear half the staff that were all Kennedy acolytes are fired. You're not going to hear that Rain Roberts got canned. You're not going to hear that, Pablo Hidalgo gathered his stuff and was walked out by two huge security guards. Okay, you're just not going to hear that. They're not going to tell you that. Okay, there are contracts with NDAs attached to them. Disney's never been transparent. Ask anybody who's dealt with them. Lorena Creel, the gang at Clownfish TV, anybody. Okay, I'm gonna tell you something. The first time I felt like we were actually getting a real live sort of admittance of this is fucked up is from Bob Chapek when he admitted they lost that much money in the second quarter. Okay, I was shocked by that. All right, I couldn't believe he said it. Usually those guys go out there and everything's sunshine and rain and unicorn farts. He didn't say that. It was very honest. So to me, that was a positive thing. But as far as, again, let's go back to what Valiant, Renegade, and Cameron were talking about. I was one of those people, a great interview, by the way, dude. I was one of those people who wanted to see her frog marched out. I mean, my common sense, real world instincts are still like, because it doesn't make any sense. But her being in that position and, it's not what she knows. Okay, people can pretend she's got some big dark secrets that she's using as collateral, but she probably does herself. If you ever look at that picture of her surrounded with all those women, okay, it's not like girls don't get hit on by women in power in Hollywood. Do you think the casting couch only includes men in power? Go and get my friend Lee Scott. He'll tell you. He'll tell you. All right? All right? I guarantee you Leslie Headland's pulled that shit. I know she has. But she's a woman and she can get away with it so far. So far. Okay. But that will turn eventually. All right. And the casting couch is still there, but whatever. I don't really think she had anything on anybody that anybody didn't have on her. But honestly, I don't really think she did, because if you're in danger of not getting your contract renewed and you've got a card to deal that can hurt somebody bad, you'll deal it. You will deal it. You know? Ah, yeah, redneck nerd. Ew. Ew. That's gross. Don't. You know, you'll deal it. And the reason simply is this: you're protecting your job. What Disney's worried about again is the PR, is the share prices, and what, again, investors will think. What is Bob Chapek's biggest responsibility? To keep the share prices at a premium so they can actually get back to paying dividends, because they're not doing that right now, because they're not making any money right now. And Disney's so much in debt, they're in a little hole looking up. They like fell into a well of debt. Okay. I estimate, I don't know, maybe somebody else can jump in, that they're over $100 million in debt, or $1 billion in debt themselves. I bet their corporate debt rivals AT&T's right now. And what is AT&T doing to alleviate some of that? They're giving Warner Brothers the heave-ho. Think about it. All right. Discovery doesn't need to go into debt to buy Warner Brothers. All right. That's a big deal. Okay. A little debt doesn't hurt anybody. I mean, if you have a credit card and you want to see your credit score stay above 800, you might want to have, you pay your debt, you pay your credit card off, but you might want to have a little bit on there. And the reason why is because they see that you're using it, and that'll keep your credit score up. We do that. Okay. Countries the same way. A little debt for a country isn't bad. Now, the United States is in debt hell right now. I don't know, Matt Piranha. I expect you gotta start selling stuff off. And maybe selling Hong Kong. I think they own Hong Kong. But I also, do they? I gotta look that up. I always thought they actually leased it. Then I heard they owned it. Then I heard, I don't know what their status is with the Hong Kong park. I know they lease the Shanghai park, and the CCP can say, fuck you, get out of here anytime they want. And they probably will. Okay. But, there are things that they can do to alleviate the debt. They can sell Fox. They can sell ABC, or CNN and ABC. There are things they can sell. Would they sell Lucasfilm? Well, if it doesn't start making money. But when I look at what they've invested in it, I think they would have to be really in trouble to want to do that. Okay. But selling ABC, might be in the works. I mean, I could see them doing that. Network TV, I haven't watched it in years. All right, I really, really haven't. I mean, I don't want to. There's nothing on there I want to watch. It's garbage. Okay. No, wait a minute. Last time I watched network TV, they had the Christmas, the Charlie Brown Christmas special, the 50th anniversary. And of course, I had to watch it. Okay. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. I love that show. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I know Eastland, and there, but and these are the things that when you're looking at the entire problem that Disney is facing, they have to look at. They have to look at. And they should be making billions on Star Wars. I mean, if anything, the COVID year should have been a time where people were ordering figures. There should have been stuff on the streaming that was new. It should have been handled correctly, and They're not making any money on it because Star Wars was handled badly, okay? And it was handled, shit rolls downhill. Kennedy is a bad studio head. She might be a hell of a producer, but she's a bad studio head, okay? She don't know what she's doing. She didn't watch the dailies for Solo, discovers that it's so bad she has to literally refilm the whole fucking thing. And it still was bad. Nobody wanted to see it. I mean, Aaron Reich, somebody said something about Aaron Reich being embarrassed. This is my opinion about Alden Ehrenreich. Who the hell did you think you were stepping into those boots? Who? Okay? I mean, the guy is a pampered pooch who has never literally lived any sort of school where the masculine sort of thing has to happen. All right? Obviously wasn't a Boy Scout. Obviously didn't take up a trade where he had to work with his hands. Obviously didn't ever worry about where his next meal was coming from or how he was going to pay for his family's roof over their heads, right? Okay. Reality gives a man a certain quality. It's authentic. Okay. Harrison Ford has that because if you ever look at his biography and you realize that, he woke up one morning after going through a massive amount of depression in Ripon, Wisconsin. He was going to college there for philosophy. Grabbed his then high school sweetheart and they tore off across the United States to California to get into acting. He wanted to be an actor. He signed contract after contract with the different studios. He's been in Gunsmoke. He was in Kung Fu and a bunch of other TV shows, including now that I think about it, I remember that episode. Love American Style? Go look that up. That show was just bad. It was so just, oh God. It was cringe even for then. Okay. And he was living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, and when you've got kids, it's kind of hard. He and his wife lived at the Los Angeles commune. He took up carpentry jobs. He actually was a roadie and a cameraman for Jim Morrison for a bit. Those videos are hilarious. I mean, go look them up. Harrison Ford, Jim Morrison on YouTube. They're just wow, because you're like, holy shit. I mean, but he had to work his ass off. And the only reason why he got the part of Han Solo, he was what, 31 years old? If they had been, if Hollywood had been looking at little freaks and ethnic heroes like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, and Dustin Hoffman, and blonde beach boys like Robert Redford, Harrison Ford would have been a big star a long time ago. But he wasn't, okay? He was working his ass off just to get TV shows. And there he is, reading the lines for Han Solo while building shells for Francis Ford Coppola. And Lucas said, this is our Han Solo. No one really struck George as being that guy. And the reason is this. And, Kurt Russell, could have probably done it. He was as close to that as you could get. And Kurt Russell was a hockey player. Doing activities like that will give a guy that edge. Okay. Alden Ehrenreich has never done any of that. He has never had to worry about anything. He grew up in Hollywood. His dad is Steven Spielberg's accountant. I'm sure people out there would say, well, he's worked really hard, blah, blah, blah. Fine. That still doesn't make him an actor worthy of playing Han Solo. All right? He just didn't have that extra, he didn't have that authenticity. All right? You gotta look at the character as when you meet him, he's already lived a life. Okay? And you needed an actor that could convey that. That was actually the age that Han would have been in the movie. Okay? They found him. Under their noses, there he is. Oh yeah, there is a ton of nepotism in Hollywood. So that was a problem. Okay? And when they hired Aaron Reich, when he had the audacity to think he could play that role because it's just a character, he walked in to a trap. Hey, Keely Chow, I was literally just when the trailer came out, I was like, this is bad. We're just talking more about the Atlantic article and what it means and Kennedy's, mistakes and everything. He was one mistake. They never should have hired him. They should have hired Anthony Ingruber and let it go. All right. At least Ingruber, was acceptable to the fans. All right. Now, go further. You've got a president of a movie studio who does not watch the dailies, who is shocked by how bad it looks, 80% into it, has to fly to London with a new director, and there you go. The entire movie is refilmed. I was looking at that for them to fire Aaron Reich. They should have done that. And the story was bad. I know a lot of you guys have a thing for Amelia Clark. I think she's disgusting. She looks like a little skinny mouse. When she goes blonde, it doesn't look natural because she's got those black eyebrows she won't do anything with. Look, if you're a brunette and want to actually pass for natural blonde, lighten these puppies up. All right, if your hair is that dark, lighten these puppies up. Because if you don't, you're gonna look cheap. Okay. And her as Daenerys, looked cheap. Okay, she just looked cheap. That comic book she put out, that's disgusting. That's disgusting. Okay, I don't, and as a woman, I find it embarrassing. I'm sorry, I just do. Shoot me. So, that movie was going to be a failure. And it wasn't just because The Last Jedi sucked so bad. It was going to suck no matter what. Now, would it have made money without The Last Jedi? It probably wouldn't have lost as much as it did. I estimate, and I will die on this hill, that it lost $250 million. And no one can convince me it didn't. Because the story is they refilmed 80% of it. I think they refilmed all of it. You had a $225 million budget, and you can't get a good Han Solo movie out of that. Give me a fucking break. Then you refilm everything. Let's say that's another $225 million. $450 million. The movie didn't make, I think, $300 million. Okay, now you take away 450, that's 100 million. Then you take away the marketing was, be about 200 million. And you take away what the theaters took, you have about a $250 million loss. Okay, that should have, and I really honestly think at that point, Bob Iger knew that Kennedy had to go. Okay, I think they all knew, to be honest. And it just took this long to move the ball down the court. You understand? It's just, to me, it's really, really too bad that we've had to go through all this over this woman when it didn't have to happen. But because of who she is and the way Hollywood works, you know, we had to be patient, and this will come. This she is on her way out. And that's what that article from the Atlantic yesterday was saying. John Fox, basically, it was saying, without directly saying it, that Kathleen Kennedy is leaving. Jon Favreau is taking over Lucasfilm. That's what it's saying. Now, there's a contingent of people out there from a certain channel that don't believe he ever would, and that's fine. Why wouldn't he? If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, he's my age. He's a Generation Xer. We're always the fixers, by the way. Oh, I know Eastland. Anyway, why wouldn't he? Think about it. You're Jon Favreau. You're growing up. Where did you grow up? In Brooklyn, New York. And you're at one of the big theaters in Brooklyn, and you're with your friends, and you sit down and watch this movie called Star Wars. And you walk away wanting to know more, wanting to be part of that. I'm sure if you asked him, the reason why he wanted to be an actor was because of Star Wars. The reason why he wanted to get into making movies was because of George Lucas. Okay, so why would he refuse the dream job? That doesn't mean he can't be a showrunner for other things. Okay, that doesn't mean he can't produce other things, like his the show that he was making on Netflix about cooking. Okay, he can still do that stuff. So, but yet he gets to play in the Magic Kingdom George Lucas created, and he gets to carry it forward with that. I always tell people, if you stop doing what you loved to do when you were a kid, you'll stop being happy. All right? Why I collect Star Wars figures, why I have a horse, why I have a big hairy dog, why I shoot guns and love movies. All right? These are the things I love. All right? You can't let go of that. If you do, you're going to be a sad sack. All right? And that's true. But, so why wouldn't he? And that's what they're saying in this article. There's a reason why no Star Wars movies were coming out in the near future in 2018. Is because Iger realized no one knew what they were doing and didn't. The last one was Tross because they had to get it done. They couldn't just abandon it like I would have. They had to pretend it did really, really good. TLJ was awesome. I am like, they had to do something. And they knew it in 2018. So they went ahead, did Tross. Oh, let's talk about something that Valiant talked about, that I've talked about. Let's reiterate it. Who's missing from the Rise of Skywalker premiere? Harrison Ford showed up. Billy D. Williams showed up. Carrie Fisher's spirit was there. Mark was there. Who? Everyone looks around. George Lucas. He was at every premiere of every movie but that one. People say, George isn't involved with it at all. There were rumors out there and stories that I now believe that George Lucas was part of filming The Rise of Skywalker. All right. There are people that were on the set that saw Matt Smith dressed as the son of Mortis. Okay, that's all George Lucas right there. Okay? Kennedy saw the mock-up of the movie and shat her pants. It was not Iger that said no one's gonna know this villain. Disney gets blamed for that. No, that was Kennedy. That was Kennedy. Okay. You blame Iger, blame Horn, blame whatever. That was Kennedy that wanted Palpatine. Okay. That was Kennedy. All right. When they used Palpatine's voice in a lot of the things, like that one trailer, go look it up, when it's Muleface on Exegol walking around and you hear this voice saying, I have been my boy, blah, blah, blah. I have been every voice you've ever heard inside your head. It's Palpy, it's Snoke, it's Vader. And underneath it all, when you start looking at the sound waves, it's Matt Smith. They used what they were going to use for the trailer that in the movie he was supposed to be in. All right. I wouldn't doubt that George said they need to be brother and sister. Okay, you know, Rey wasn't supposed to be a nobody because that's not Star Wars. I don't care if you wanted her to be a nobody. That's not what you want as a fan, because you're not a fan if you think that she had to be a nobody. Doesn't fucking matter. That doesn't fit in Star Wars. Okay? That's your narcissistic need because you feel like a nobody. Okay? Fix that problem. Don't shove it in my entertainment. All right? Lucas didn't show up because they took everything he filmed and threw it in the shit can. Then we have Steven Spielberg announcing that he wasn't going to direct Indiana Jones 5. Okay. He was going to be executive producer. James Mangold comes in. John Kasdan's script gets tossed into the circular file. Now why? Why did all that happen? Well, I think, and you guys can argue with me all you want, but I don't think Steven Spielberg would do anything for Kathy Kennedy anymore because of what she did to George. And I look at it the way I see guys take care of their friends. George Lucas has meant a lot to Steven Spielberg since the 60s. Okay, that's 50 years they've been best friends. Okay? You honestly think that when the shit gets real, that Steven Spielberg isn't going to look and see what that crazy bitch did and go, that was really good, Kathy. I'm glad you screwed George over after all the hard work he put in. No. No, if she, I see them publicly being very friendly to each other, but probably, I'm done. I'm done. What you did was wrong. And I think the reason why a lot of this is happening now is because Spielberg has cut her loose. I don't think he's cut Marshall loose, but I think that she's kind of the odd man out right now. I'm gonna add this. I don't think Steven Spielberg held her up as any paragon of virtue. All right? I really, really don't. Some of the things he said about her publicly have been, and I'm not kidding. Not kidding. So anyway, then we get to the Gina Carano thing, which the blame squarely, at least for the bullshit on the internet, the blame squarely lands on Pablo. Because I think, from what I've seen lately, because of the trolling I've seen of a good friend and other things, that the guy not only has a private account, he's got that public one, but I think he has several, and I mean dozens of fake Twitter accounts that he uses. I wouldn't doubt he's bought bots. I wouldn't doubt that there are many other people within the story group and at Lucasfilm that did the same thing, because Fire Gina Carano, that hashtag, came out of Lucasfilm. And the only people that I can see wanting to see that happen is him and the Flying Monkeys. Okay, now, is Doomcock right about the way Kennedy felt about Gina? Well, Kennedy's 68 years old. All right, she should be retired. For a woman of her age, she looks good, but she's not. She's not the Hollywood ideal of beauty anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying old school, dewy cheeks, smooth skin, whatever. She's an old woman. All right. I see her being very envious of Gina. I'm going to say something. Despite Kennedy's hate of men, the fact that a woman like Gina Carano, I would say even Carrie Fisher, when Carrie was young, etc., got attention. There are women out there that get really fucking jealous. Okay, like you take Allison Doody from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Gorgeous blonde Irish girl. She played the Austrian archaeologist. And she's still beautiful. She's still a kick-ass blonde. I can't imagine Kennedy having any feelings of camaraderie and friendship to her. Why? Allison Doody was 21 years old then. And Sean Connery flirted with her. There's video of Harrison Ford flirting with her. That girl got the male gaze big time. And as someone who enjoys that, more power to you, chicka chick. Grab it when you can get it. And I'm sure that pissed Kennedy off. Okay. So you've got Gina Carano, who's an attractive woman, who has a great personality and a big presence, show up playing a character that was designed specifically for her, and basically being such a popular character and popular actress that she's basically carrying a TV show that's not hers. Okay, that would absolutely drive a bitch like Kennedy crazy. Women aren't supposed to be that attractive. Women aren't supposed to be that independent minded unless they think like me. So she got the male gaze. She thinks on her feet and she thinks for herself. And it's not the right thing. Why wouldn't Kennedy hate her guts? Why wouldn't she? So of course, they bid their time, and when Gina did what she did, they put it out there that she was no longer working at Lucasfilm. And all hell broke loose. All right, and this is how we got to where we are today. Okay. I think that had Gina been left alone and all this shit didn't happen with her, that we would probably be 6 or 7 months behind in all this, okay? Or we just find out when Indy 5 was done that Kennedy was going to stay on until Star Wars Celebration, where they announced the new president of Lucasfilm. All right, okay. But now it's moving at breakneck speed. And the reason is this. Bob Chapek realizes he's got to right the ship. Okay, and ultimately, guess whose responsibility it is? It's his. Okay, this is why this is happening. This is why this article showed up. Is that he's telling Hollywood, Kennedy's out, Favreau's in. And that's it. And I am going to touch on this before I leave, because I'm going to go do some shopping and stuff. About Ben Shapiro. Cameron mentioned him yesterday on Midnight's Edge and talked about that. This is me. I did some things for Breitbart.com. That's where Ben Shapiro really got his start with activism and the kind of thing he's doing right now. I don't look at Ben as being a dangerous person per se, as the things he believes in and everything. I look at it as being you're throwing yourself into the conservative ghetto, build a house right next to Kevin Sorbo because you're never getting out. Okay. That's why I would have said don't do it. Don't do it. Look at Mel Gibson. He rehabbed himself, and he actually really did do something bad. He actually really said something shitty. Okay? He actually was being a crud ball. Okay? That's why I disagree with her deal with Ben Shapiro. To me, when I saw that poster, it was more Star Wars, just Star Warsy than anything else. I mean, who knows what she was saying, but again, I'm going to say this: if she embraces this thing she's doing with Shapiro to the detriment, like if they call her back and she says no, you guys, you were used, okay? You were used, all right? That's bullshit. And I will get off this roller coaster I've been on defending her so fast it'll turn your head. All right? I didn't go to bat for an activist. I went to bat for someone who was wronged. Wronged in a big way. All right? Wronged like people were canceled in Nazi Germany. Okay? That's what happened to her. All right? But I didn't get on the bandwagon to see her tell the one person at Lucasfilm, Jon Favreau, I don't want to. All right? First off, you dance with the boy that brung you, and he is the boy that brung her. He created that character for her. He is creating a show for her. All right? And to the people who don't think she's going to come back, if you want that, fine. I will not waste my time with her anymore. And I would tell Jon Favreau, recast the character with somebody else. Get Ronda Rousey, get another MMA fighter, whatever. All right? This is not, Star Wars is not about Gina Carano. Okay? Star Wars is about bigger things. And her character is actually a side character. The main characters are Anakin Skywalker, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Leia Organa Solo, Obi-Wan Kenobi. All right, and that's just the start. Nowhere is she in that list. Okay, Star Wars, again, is not about her. All right, she was given an opportunity. She took it. They pulled a really bad move on her. And it would not doubt me at all that they call her back, or already have. All right. But if she told them no, it'll come out. And if it does, I'm done. Recast Ronda Rousey as Cara Dune. All right. She could do it. She's already been in movies. She was in The Expendables, for crying out loud. No skin off my nose. All right. I'm not going to stick up for someone who used me and my fellows to I don't know what. No one knew who she was till Star Wars. I'm not a fan of that sport. Sorry. But again, the Atlantic article isn't about her. It's about the overall view that Star Wars and Lucasfilm have been mismanaged. And that, despite the article's warm fuzzies for Kathleen, is Kathleen's fault. Okay, this is why the article is written. And it's basically saying The Mandalorian was the only bright spot. It was bringing Star Wars back. And Jon Favreau is obviously the guy going forward. So, to the woke folk, they're going to rip and cry and rend their garments over Jon Favreau. Please kiss my tight, white Norwegian ass. Okay? I got no time to spend with you. All right? Anyway, this is Steph. I'll see you guys around the galaxy. Remember, tip those Wookiee bartenders 20%. Please like and subscribe if you haven't. And y'all be good.